Hello, this is Brad Harvey with Harvey Investment Management. Today's question that we're going to answer is, did the government help or hurt inflation over the last several months or few quarters? Obviously, inflation's been a very, very hot topic in the financial press and the overall news for quite some time now, and everybody likes to point fingers in the rearview mirror. Monday morning quarterbacking happens in every industry. It happens a ton in the financial services industry. However, in my opinion, and this is strictly opinion, I think that some of the government actions that they've taken have actually made inflation far worse. Recently, they passed the Inflation Recovery Bill, or whatever it was titled. It talked about inflation relief, and it was actually massive additional spending. Well, inflation at the end of the day is supply and demand. So we either have too much demand for not enough supply, or we have the same demand for less supply. So we have to bring on more supply for goods and services, or reduce demand, or both, in order to get inflation under control. If you look back to the policies of the early 80s, when they very aggressively went after inflation, this is precisely what they were trying to do. Hence the term supply-side economics. They were trying to increase the supply in our economy. Well, with COVID, the federal government shut down, and this wasn't just the feds in the US, this was globally, but they shut down lots of manufacturing and lots of service businesses because they were not deemed to be essential. And at the same time, they were sending out significant benefits to people, so that kept their income or cash available relatively high, while shutting down or slowing down the supply side. Here we are now, 18 months later, and we're seeing the impacts of that. We are seeing significant demand for limited supply. Bringing on supply for many goods, especially manufacturing goods, can take some time. So how is the government going to help us to get out of this? Well, first and foremost, they need to slow down demand. And you don't do that by massive increases in spending. In fact, although it might be a bit painful, they need to reduce spending. Further, if they really want to stimulate this and get things under control, they need to figure out ways to increase supply, whether that's manufactured goods, whether that is services. Those two things together will help stem the tide of inflation. Unfortunately, these things don't happen overnight. We did not get to this inflation situation in a few months. It took a little while for those policies to get into the system. So now they need some time to get out of the system, but a change in those policies is in order, and it's in order very, very quickly. So this is Brad Harvey with Harvey Investment Management. Today's question that we answered was, does COVID policy have anything to do with the current inflation environment?